April 29th, 2025 City Council meeting, Council Chamber. We'll start with the prayer. Dear God, today's the session opens. We pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction, which lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city, make it a better place to live and work. Amen. We join salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Mercier.
Here.
Council Noon.
Here.
Council Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Rourke.
Here.
Council Scott.
Here.
Council Yem.
Here.
Council Belanger.
Here.
Council Chow.
Here.
Council Dakota.
Here.
Council Getchia.
Here.
Council Janess.
Here.
11 present.
Any moments of silence this evening? No, moving on. Section 2, Mayor's Business, 2.1, Communication for Remote Zoom Participation, and motion to accept the place on file by Council Scott, seconded by Council Yem. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Section 3, City Clerk. 3.1, minutes of the City Council regular meeting, April 22nd, for acceptance by Councilor Getchia, seconded by Council Janess. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Should those both wait?
No, that goes. Go now.
Section 4, Unfinished Business, 4.1, in
Mr.
order.
Mayor, could I ask to suspend the rules and take the communication motion response 7.1F out of order, please?
By Councilor Getchia, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Take 7.1F out of order, Construction and Employment by Councilors Getchia, Robinson.
Thank you. There was a reason I filed this motion requesting to look at the town of Borica's bylaws. I appreciate the response from the solicitor. A lot of this case law that you refer to is pretty old. And then to further go and cite Solicitor O'Connor. At the time with Solicitor O'Connor, that was a full-fledged PLA. Those discussions were completely different. I'm not an attorney by any stretch. I'm not looking to argue case law or any of that stuff. That's not my wheelhouse. What I do know is I've seen other communities have implemented this, and some much more restrictive. City of Boston, for example. This is in regards to public funded projects where we're saying give us 25% of public funded projects where 75% can be non-residents and they're not held to any of these requests that we're looking for. Boston has private development projects over 50,000 square feet, and all public development projects must meet following employment standards. At least 51% of the total work hours of journey people and 51% of the total work hours of apprentices in each trade must go to Boston residents. At least 40% of the total work hours of journey people and 40% of the total work hours of apprentices in each trade must go to the people of color. And at least 12% of the total work hours of journey people and 12% of the total work hours of apprentices in each trade must go to women. Hopkinton has similar language in the books that's operational right now, and the town of Borica. And we talk about all these things the city needs. How do we sustain small businesses? How do we develop a talent pipeline in our community? We have trade schools in our backyard. We have UTech, Youth Build, the list goes on. We're not willing to find a way to yes on this, to be able to infuse our city with the opportunity to earn income and keep it in our community, to give our kids an opportunity to get their hands dirty in their backyard and build a sense of pride and privilege, for working in their own community. I mean, you could put 12 different attorneys in the room and they're gonna all have different opinions, but one thing that we're not looking at is other communities have this. And so I think I'd like to make a motion to allow a speaker that's very familiar with this process, especially Borica's, to address the council, please.
We have two registered.
Second.
Oh, we have two registered?
John Burrows.
Good evening, thank you. So I brought this forth in Borica years ago. You know, it's not a union thing, a non-union thing. It was about quality of life. About quality of life for the the people in the trades. I think a lot of time it's overlooked, the talent and the people that you have right here in Lowell. You know, you look at these old mills back in the old days when those are coming. You have a lot of the talent here. In my day job, I've recruited a lot of them. A lot of them work in Boston. When I altered this language, what I did is I removed the unemployment rate. It took COVID to trigger the use of residents on public work. You heard them talk about the residents you require in Boston. That's on private property. They're telling you what to do on a privately owned piece of land. How many people of color, women. There was also talk of a case law, I think it was the Trades Council of Camden, in the vicinity of Major Camden, it was US something, but they talked about discriminating. We're not discriminating against. We're saying we get dibs. We all have brothers and sisters. You want extra at dinner, you yell dibs. You get first opportunity. If I ask them for 25% of the job to be residents, and you're leaving 75 to be open shop, that's not discriminating. That's just taking care of the residents that are paying for those projects. The Attorney General's approved this project, approved this language, said it was fair, it was legal, and you're not forcing no one. It's giving them the opportunity to come in front of you and ask for relief. Hey, there's 100% employment in Lowell. We have to find workforce elsewhere. You know, we went to UTech, we went to Workforce, we went to Greater Lowell Tech, we went to the Maroon Academy. So you're not denying people the access, non-residents. You're just saying Lowell residents deserve an opportunity to work in Lowell and have a better quality of life for themselves. You know, instead of sitting on 128 to 93, leaving the house at 5 in the morning, getting home at 7 at night. You know, I was at a meeting last night. I missed my son's lacrosse game. I was like, all right, 5:30 ain't gonna happen. But it gives people the ability to work, shop, live right here in Lowell. And it's a great city, and I think this would be a great benefit for the residents of Lowell. Thank you.
Tim Collins.
Good evening, everybody. Tim Collins, 103 in L Street, Lowell, Mass. I got up here a couple weeks ago and spoke to everybody about the importance of having local people on these local jobs. And, you know, when I walk into the room, I look over here, I see some gentlemen that I work with on a day-to-day basis, right across the street at Lowell High School. We love building things in our own community. And I think that it's time that, you know, the city at whole, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm just an iron worker, right? So I just really think it's time that everybody takes a really hard look into today's economy and considers investing in their community, all right? When we have the opportunity here to do great things, I really think it should be the residents of the city who get to take part in those great things. I've mentioned it before that, you know, it's being at Lowell High School and doing the garage before that and the courthouse before that has afforded me a quality of life that's second to none. It's opened me up to be able to be there for my family day in and day out, and it's allowed my son to flourish in ways I didn't even think it was possible. He's impressing me every day, and a lot of that has to do with me being available as a parent. So please, with all due consideration and all due respect, I really think that we should think long and hard about investing in the citizens of this city. Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Councilor Getchia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city solicitor. Mr. Solicitor, did you see the ruling from the Attorney General on burkas?
That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I read the document that was referred to earlier by the speaker, and that was not a ruling on the bylaw itself. So that was in 2022, there was an amendment to a pre-existing bylaw that, so as far back as I could see, Article 20, the construction employment bylaw, that's been in place since, I can only go back to 2007. So that had already been in place for quite some time. And the document from the Attorney General's office, whenever you make a change at town meeting, whether it's to a general or a zoning bylaw, you have to send it to the Attorney General for approval. I think it's Chapter 40, Section 32. And that's just an administrative review where they approve it as to form, and they look at things like procedure. Was it posted correctly? Was the information in the notice itself appropriate? Did it get the appropriate vote? So as a part of that, there was a half-page document that came back, and it said, yes, these are approved to move forward. Now, the specific Attorney General who worked on that, Margaret Hurley, is someone I have tremendous respect for. She does a great job, but as a part of that review, she in no way read through that Article 20 to establish whether or not it was constitutional, allowed, how long it had been there. It was strictly as to removing, I think it was Section C, that had to do with the unemployment rate, that part was to come out. So there was no opinion of the Attorney General as to the language in that bylaw itself.
Wouldn't they read it in its entirety and see if it fits and if the whole thing as a whole would be acceptable? Or you're just saying if an amendment comes in, they only look at the amendment, not the whole piece? Yeah.
Typically, because that office gets inundated with different bylaw changes that come in, so they don't, and again, I don't work in that office, but I know it is more of a procedural process where they look to make sure that all the rights that come under that statute weren't violated.
Did you reach out to the Attorney General's office and see if we would violate anything with the current proposal that we have in front of us?
No, I did not.
Could we do that?
We could, and I'm happy to do so. Now, the Attorney General doesn't have the authority to overreach the courts, whether it's the Superior Court, the Federal Court, or the Supreme Court. I could certainly get an opinion from them. I'm happy to do that.
That's what I would ask, because if they're saying that they're the ones who are in charge of articles, why not take a point to it and see, like I think Council Robinson said, different attorneys will come up with different opinions. And, we've had back and forths through time that we have differed in, we got smacked down by the state and said that we violate open meeting laws and stuff like that when we were told we weren't. So I think that sending it off for another opinion is not a bad idea. I think this is people's livelihoods, and we do it on our end when we look at some of the hirings in the city. We actually have come out many a times and said that we prefer Lowell residents in our hiring practices, whether it's the school side or even the city side. So I would ask that we would at least reach out again and revisit this and see if there's some piece that we can put together that works to keep Lowell families and Lowell working. Thank you.
Councilor Scott?
Thank you. I would just like to thank Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to echo Councilor Gitchia's sentiments. If there's anything that can be done, I'd be in favor of it. I mean, I did look online: Boston, Fall River, Worcester, Springfield, Everett, Cambridge, Newburyport, Lawrence. It looks like they all have the same language as this, and they may all be wrong. I'm not disagreeing with the solicitor in any way. I would feel better if we do send something to the Attorney General's office. I don't want to open us up to a lawsuit. We've been down that path before with the panhandling lawsuit. So again, I'd favor anything that we can try to do. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also am so in favor of this being overturned so that we can make this a law. I think it was there one time years ago. And the reason I'm talking like this is because my husband was a union painter, Painters and Allied Trade. At the time, it was Local 39. I saw the struggle that we had, but until they got that, and I think years ago it was 33%, it was very good. And we're saying, oh, it's unconstitutional. Let me ask you, do we not have DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Why can we not have this bit that says diversity? Diversity being our Lowellians of many colors, many shapes, 25% of, let's put some women in there, inclusion, include our women. They're not saying DEI is unconstitutional. I don't think this law is unconstitutional whereby we have 25% Lowellians, the very people that want this city to be vibrant, to put their taxes to use, and they contribute to this city, and they should have a piece of the rock. And I'm in full compliance with this. If we can do whatever we can to overturn it, I don't know where they're coming from, saying this is unconstitutional, the amendment is not pre-existent, and I don't understand this, but this has to be on the books to make it fairer for our people that reside here. I know firsthand how this is. So thank you very much for everybody coming out and being here to speak on it. I agree with everything they said. Thank you.
Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My thinking is, as Councilor Robinson had mentioned, is Boston has a residential requirement, and I believe the city of Lynn does too, Councilor Robinson, and Billerica's been doing this, so is somebody not playing on the same level field here? So Councilor Gitchie has asked the city solicitor. I'm curious to see what the outcome of this, because I'm definitely all for at least a 25% of Lowellans working on projects in our city. So, but if we have at least 3, and I'm sure there's probably more cities and towns that are doing this, I mean, can we all get on the same page? Thank you.
So I got Councilor Belanger, Janess, Noon, and Charles. Councilor Belanger, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I too want to thank the speakers for coming down tonight, and I do appreciate the solicitor's response on this, and he's put up some good examples of some case law where, yes, this in the past, this was found unconstitutional by the courts, including one by then Councilor Rook in 2015 and previously. However, since that time, it seems that other cities and towns have adopted an ordinance that have had legs, as my colleagues have mentioned. And maybe that's due to there hasn't been a challenge. You know, I'm not a lawyer, but I am a city councilor who is trying to absolutely maximize the benefit of the massive development that we have in the pipeline with the Link project with UMass Lowell, the Hamilton Canal, MBTA communities. We've got a lot in the next 3 to 5 years. We're going to be breaking ground on some very high-scale projects. And this body needs to do everything it possibly can to help out our residents of the city. You know, we're talking about very high-paying jobs here, where home ownership can be achieved right here in the city. We can retain residents. These are great, great jobs. And with the apprenticeship program that these unions, representatives that I've spoke to that are very committed to, these could help out kids, men and women of color, inner city kids, help them out immensely. So I think we need to do everything we can to get the yes. So I'd like to see it kick back to the solicitor, craft up an ordinance similar to what Billerica and Hopkinton has. And if the day comes where we're challenged and there's a suit of some serious magnitude, I'm not going to hold the solicitor responsible and say, you let us down. I'm going to say, we tried, and this is what we asked you to do. So I think it's important we move forward with this. Again, especially, I can't stress enough what development is in the pipeline once again. And it's all about the local families and keeping the jobs local, the money local as best we can. And if the opportunity comes where we can't reach that 25% threshold and we have a lack of applicants, then we'll waive the remaining percentage. We don't want to hold up projects either, but I think we will get to that 25%. So well worth pursuing. I appreciate the motion, and I support the working families of Lowell. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank my colleagues for bringing this forward. Thank everyone who came down to speak on this tonight and in our previous discussions, and thank the solicitor for his work and this response. But I did have a couple questions that don't necessarily need to be answered tonight, but I am curious about the other communities that seem to have something similar here. Have any of them been challenged in court? What have the outcomes of those been? Talking about Billerica, Hopkinton was mentioned, Lynn, Boston, etc. I don't want to set the city up to be in a position where we just get sued and have to roll this back, and it's a whole lot of work for nothing. But at the same time, if it's not on the radar for anyone else and no one else is trying to take these ordinances down, then I don't know why we would be the first one. Like I said, I don't need answers on those tonight, but I am curious. And I would like to see what we can do here. Even if we can't do exactly this, can we do something
that has a similar effect. You know, I'm just curious really what our options are. Thank you.
You want to know? Is this a good?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did a deep dive and we looked at other communities that had this ordinance in place or bylaw, depending on the government, and they hadn't been challenged. Only a handful have been challenged, and the city of Lowell was one of them in this exact same scenario in 2001. I think it was enacted in 1990, and then in 2001, it got deemed it got revoked as unconstitutional in Superior Court. What I would like to mention quickly is this is one of those situations where, unfortunately for me, in doing my job, I'm in a position where I come across as I am not pro-labor or pro-people of Lowell. I assure you I am. I just, given the information, everything I went through, Councilor Robinson, referenced the cases being old. Those are the cases that are still good. They're still good law. So I analyzed it through that context only. And again, if this is something the body wants to move forward with, you absolutely can. I just had to at least advise and give you my opinion. And if the body wants to move forward, that's fine. We'll absolutely draft the ordinance for you. Something we will absolutely do. But I really wanted to make sure that I gave you my honest opinion based off all the information. And what is in front of you in this motion response is what we came up with.
Thank you. Quick question before I move on. If the AG clears us, are we covered to be sued?
No, we wouldn't be. That would be something we could stick in the file as persuasive perhaps one day, but that the Attorney General doesn't have the authority to allow us to potentially do something that's unconstitutional.
Councilor Noon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councilor Robinson and Kachia for filing this motion. And I want to thank all the speakers who spoke in support of this. We need to, like Councilor Murcia said, we need to take care of our residents, our own. 25% is not too much to ask. And you have 75 others that can come from other cities and towns. I appreciate the solicitor's advice on this, but I also recognize that the challenge that we had in the past, that's over 20 years ago, 2011. Since then, other city and town had came up with ordinance. So I would agree with my colleague that we draft a similar ordinance as other city and towns and take it from there. Because again, it's something that needs to be done, and we should do it alongside of other city and town that benefited our resident and one of our. Thank you.
So we got two motions first. First, by Councilor Gittia to send it to the AG for an opinion, and be seconded by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. But I also have a motion by Councilor Janess to try to draft something that may not, something similar that would cover us legally. Does that make sense, Councilor Janess?
Yeah, I didn't make a motion. I was just
So,
asking for information. So.
All right, so I get two more councilors first. Councilor Chow and Councilor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and that was a great trying to get the AG involved, that comment, the solicitors, I appreciate that comment as well. I want to thank all the speakers, Mr. Burrows and the other speaker for being here tonight. I agree with all the councilors and I appreciate all the various perspectives and opinions and ideas. Mr. Solicitor, you have a hard job to do. We understand this is no way it's a personal opinion. You're tasked to do a job, a professional job, a legal job. You are limited in the scope in terms of what kind of report to come back to us, but we know that you support the council, support the work and so forth, as well as the city manager and the mayor. I just want to bring on a different perspective. I'm on a subcommittee that working on the housing trust fund, and with the local stakeholders and the presenters to make that happen. We always been told and know that Lowell is a place of opportunity, and it is. You can hear by the people come speak here tonight. It's a good city. We want to have the people live here, work here, go to school here, raise the family here. And you can tell that's been one of the great things about the city of Lowell. And what's telling is that you have many workers in the chamber here tonight to come support this, to support having some kind of local residency, Lowell residency. The workers who are here to support this, they're not even from Lowell, but they know it would work very well for residents of Lowell. They know it could work well in their towns if they don't have it already. So I really appreciate that all other people that come here to support this as well. All of us here is very concerned with the quality of life, and there's no better way to ensure good quality of life than have employment for our residents. Thank you.
Councilor Yam?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank my colleague for this motion forward, and I, for one, talked about assigning allocating certain job for the resident of Lowell. When we have the Lowell High School construction, I did mention that, and the company who built the high school report back to us and say how many women, minority employed, and all of that. My question, and I also want to thank all our speaker union to come here advocating, because it is important to have good job, to raise a family within the city. You make money, you spend money, and that's what we like to see as a councilor, that all the job will be created here in the city of Lowell and stay majority in the city of Lowell. My question to the solicitor, I know you're in a really tough position. If we change the language, it's not required, but encourage the company to allocate certain number of jobs for the residents of Lowell, would that avoid the issue with the law? And then number two, the city of Lowell has an opportunity to go through the process of selecting if a certain project here, and then you give a score based on the requirement, based on the employment, number of people employed within the city or outside. But if we could kind of change the language instead of make it a requirement, make it encourage or something like that to avoid the lawsuit. I'm just thinking out loud. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Solicitor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Councilor, something like that would be fine, as long, the language is specific to a residency requirement. That is the issue, and that's what came up in the 1984 Camden case. It's a residency requirement. So if there were to be a preference for it, something in the scoring metric for that would be different. That would certainly move the needle and make it entirely different.
I have a quick question. Mr. Manager, what's the requirement over at the high school, the public project?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. The MBE, WBE workforce participation, I'm just reading it off, which I know all the councilors, but for the edification of the folks at home. Total construction minority workforce is at 26.8% of the workers. Total construction of Lowell residents is 9.42%. Total construction of female workforce is at 5%. And I believe, Councilor, what you just discussed is something that maybe a suggestion could be made, is that we move forward, councilors, at your wish, to put this forward as our goals for the future, and then let us try to figure out legally if we can do it through the AG's office, et cetera. I think that what has happened at the high school, it's something that's reported on every month, every time we have an SBC meeting, which I know all the councilors watch, but it's a drive that we are continuing to push. Once again, these are actual percentages, so that could be an idea to help us to move in the right direction. Mr. Solicitor, I don't know if that makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, no, I think that would change the dynamic of certainly the response that I put forward, because I was just strictly basing it off of Bill Ricka's and public projects. I think if you were to change requirement to something like a goal or something that could add incentive, I think that's different.
Could we, in any kind of agreements or MOUs, could we put in, Mr. Manager, a better financing plan for local residents instead? Just, I'm again thinking out loud. Is it something, Mr. Manager, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I would, through you to the council, I'd like to check on that, but I think considering the fact we've already been doing this at the high school, we could be in good order. But that's something that if we're, I think if this council is willing to at least make that step forward with this goal that we've continued to try to do at, quite frankly, the biggest project that we've had in quite some time, for future projects for that to happen, if the council wishes to move in that direction, and then allow the solicitor to figure out the legalities of what I would say maybe mandating something. But once again, not being an attorney myself.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. First, I'd like to say thank you to the solicitor. I greatly appreciated that you're digging in and taking the time to protect the city, and it shows. I mean, you did do your homework, no doubt. You examined thoroughly, and I'm glad to hear that Lowell High is doing a voluntary reporting system. That's encouraging and that's great, but that's not what this motion was filed about. And so, if it's okay with the maker of the motion that we voted on, I'd like to make a motion to draft language similar to the town of Barricas, and once we have the draft, send it off to the AG for review. I mean, it's great that we're doing stuff voluntarily, but for too long we haven't had anything like this. And the Lowell High project's going to be wrapping up, and then we don't have any language that survives. I mean, it's going to be extended out, but we don't have any language that's going to outlive that project. And so what I'm trying to solidify is, given in a union capacity, which I'm sure the solicitor is familiar with, we're talking about qualifications too. So it's not we're just saying we hire Lowell residents outside of a qualified non-Lowell resident, because that requirement for qualifications still exists on construction projects, and that's governed elsewhere. So as far as OSHA 10s, OSHA 30s, that's where the apprenticeship comes. That's where the OSHA 10s, OSHA 30s, well, you're a Lowell resident, with that card, you're going to work. So we're not removing that. That's not a portion that I'm talking about. Just because you're a Lowell resident, you show up at a job site and get a job. You have to be qualified to perform these duties, period. And if it's an apprenticeship, those qualifications are going to be a lot different. But there's also language out there that states that states and cities can favor their own residents in an economic activity in which the state or the city is a major market participant. When states or cities employ private firms to provide goods or service, they can require the firms to implement employment quotas for state or city residents as a condition to receive the contract. So if we're signing off on public funds going to these projects, we do have some say as to what we want to see employed on these projects. It's not a matter of discriminating against anybody as much as it is saying we're looking for a company to come in and do this project that's going to honor the 25% residency/apprenticeship requirement, and 75% have at it. But it's giving us a fighting chance, and we're citing one specific project going on in our backyard, but as I mentioned earlier, once that's done, we have no language and we're going to be back at the table again. So my motion on the floor would be to draft this. Once we approve of the draft, send it off to the AG for review, and we can have a further conversation.
Second by Councilor Mercer. Are there any other comments? Good to go.
Can we get a roll call on that, please?
So are you okay with that? It's okay with Councilor Getcha. So just a couple of questions. So we draft the ordinance. If for some reason 25% can't, like Councilor Roberts just said, if they can't meet certain requirements and they have to go outside of the 25, below 25%, what goes in the ordinance to cover us for that?
I don't really have an answer for that. My only suggestion would be that if this, ultimately put the draft together, it may just be easier to just skip over the sending it to the Attorney General part, because that doesn't affect anything.
The AG has no, like we said before.
The AG has no bearing. So if this is something that the body wants, then we can draft it and you can vote on it. I mean, if that's what you want me to do, I will. It's just, it doesn't really matter.
So the motion would be to draft the ordinance and not go to the AG, and can we get a roll call on that, please?
Councilor Getcha, good.
Attorney Williams, I know you're a union guy, and I know you know what we're pushing for. I think moving the fence post a little and being the outside person to make this happen signifies who you are as a union person. And I think that going to the AG just gives us a little bit of base to it, even though they have no ruling in it. It's just another set of eyes on something. Maybe there's something that you can move one way or another to move the fence post to work. That's the reason why I said just go to the AG, and maybe there's something they see that they say, well, this won't work, but this will. And you said you had good relationships back and forth, and I'm sure you've reached out to other union people on this piece. And we're hoping that you are the driver that's going to change the way this outcome is. And that's why we bring it to you. You know, there is nobody better in that seat for this. And we're hoping that you can find a path to make this happen, like the mayor had done before.
Councilor,
So
get to his point. Are we better off just getting the opinion first and coming back to us and deciding from there?
that's what I would do, because I do think you're going to come up with something. I think you're going to find the driver to this and make it work. So
Then it's
I think putting something forth and then getting sued is not a good way, but I do think you'll come back with something that'll work.
And then maybe go back and forth to try to get to a yes.
That if the solicitor is okay, it's going to take work. There's no question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I guess my only comment would be, what if the Attorney General comes back on the other side of sort of what you were just saying? And then
Well, if they
I
say-
feel like that might limit the city's options more.
We get our answer that way at
know.
least, right?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So, Secretary Council, get his motion to send to AG for an opinion, second by Councilor Dakota.
Well, he had a motion on the floor, Councilor Robinson, with,
Yours was first. Are you withdrawing yours?
you said all those in favor, and
The motion
everyone,
passed, but then Councilor Robinson asked to change it.
you can have two motions, right? So that's what I'm guessing is happening.
So again, the question would be, are we jumping the gun by draft the ordinance, or do you want the solicitor to get some work in to try to figure something out?
I mean, on one hand, we're saying the AG has no bearing on this. On the other hand, we're saying, oh, we want to check with the AG. So my motion on the floor is draft the ordinance, and then if someone wants a review from the AG, we'll send it off to the AG, but I'd like to see the ordinance drafted first. That's the motion on the floor.
I'll go with it. Go ahead.
Roll call.
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Blooms, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to add one comment. Mr. Mayor, through you to the solicitor. Mr. Solicitor, thank you for your professional comments tonight and your willingness to work with this body, even though it may be contrary to your opinion. With that being said, now, how about what I'd like to see, without complicating things as it already is, projects that are in the cities that we've offered TIFs and ties. That's public funds as far as I'm concerned. So I'd like to include that too. I mean, it's taxpayer money, if you will, and I'd like to see that in there too if my colleagues would willing to go along. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You got that. Again, found the legality of that as well, so.
I understand, Mayor. I understand.
Roll call.
This is on Robinson Mercy.
To draft an ordinance, send to the AG for an opinion, come back to us. No?
Council Mercy.
He didn't want the AG on it.
No AG.
No,
All right, so we've been told it's unconstitutional, but we do it anyway and go forward? Is that's the motion is?
Draft the ordinance, council can review, and then vote to send to AG at that point. We're talking about sending an imaginary document to an AG right now.
Mr. Clerk, you get that?
Not really. Draft ordinance,
It's election season.
sent to
Roll call.
AG.
Yep.
Council Mercy.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Council Scott.
Yes.
Council Yem.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota.
Yes.
Council Getchia.
yes.
Council Janice.
Yes.
11 years.
Section 4.1, in order to abandon portion of Delaware Avenue held originally on April 22nd, 2025. What are we doing with this one?
No. Motion to adopt.
Yeah, need a motion to adopt by Councilor Getchia, seconded by Councilor Noon. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Council Scott.
Yes.
Council Yem.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota.
Yes.
Council Getchia.
Yes.
Council Janice.
Yes.
11 years.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a motion to take 6.3 out of order, please?
Public hearing first, and we'll take it. Section 5, general public hearings, 5.1, 40 Market Street, a loan order. To waive the first reading by title. Hold up. Is it, oh, something? Mr. Clerk, go ahead. Is it, yes? So we're not doing it tonight? Oh. Sure, Mr. Manager, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. My apologies to the council. My request to the council would be that we carry this forward at least another week or two. I'd like to make sure that all the councils get an opportunity to go into the building to see it, and there was a little bit of miscommunication on that. So once again, my apologies on that. We were all supposed to be there today, apparently at 2 o'clock, but we don't know how that exactly happened. So if we could carry that forward, I'd like all of the councilors to be able to walk through this. Assistant City Manager Machado is working on that date now, and hopefully we'll have it to you before the end of the meeting. My apologies for the
So we'll vote to open the meeting tonight, then we'll continue for 2 weeks. By Councilor Getchia, seconded by Councilor Janess. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you, councilors.
Can I just ask one question on that?
Sure.
Before it goes, through you to Manager Golden. I know in executive session, and we released the minutes, we talked about moving other departments that we actually pay rent in buildings. Are we still involved in that to offset the cost of this building, like we talked about?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to the council. Council, that is correct. We will be looking to consolidate in some areas throughout the city of Lowell to ensure that we're actually paying our own rent as opposed to paying someone else.
So that's what I just want people to understand, is this may offset just other rents somewhere else, and
That's
it could
correct.
offset the total cost of this whole building purchase through rentals that we're already paying somewhere else.
That's correct, council.
Okay, thank you.
There was a motion to take something out of order, but I don't see.
Not here, but can I take another one out of order?
Go ahead, Councilor Scott.
7.2. Informational
7.2 by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Yam. Take 7.2 out of order. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Informational report, Department of Development Services. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the council. Councilors, this is an opportunity. We have our entire DDS staff here and all the work they've been doing, and Mr. DeJesus is here, and I know that he's going to be joined by a couple of folks to discuss what's been happening over in DDS. And I just want to say thank you very much to the men and women that have done such a tremendous job throughout the city, making sure that all of our rules and regulations are followed. And I know that I want to say thank you very much to our Assistant City Manager Machado, who has done a great job in helping and bring this back. So, Lloyd, Mr. DeJesus.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager. My name is Lloyd DeJesus. Just in case anybody didn't know who I was, I'm the Director of Development Services. Joining me this evening is the Building Commissioner, Dave Fuller, and the Senior Health Inspector, Matthew Sheehan. We're here tonight to present an overview of the work performed by our department and to share data highlighted our ongoing efforts with you. Dave and Matt will be providing more detailed insights on these topics. But before we begin, I want to say one thing. I want to thank the Department of Development Services and all the work that you guys done for the city, and I appreciate it.
Sean, are you doing a PowerPoint? Or you're asking me to run this?
Dave.
Oh, here we go.
Dave, put the microphone up.
Good evening. We've done a lot of work this year, and I'll start with our Tuesday walks that we do through the managers' betterment of the neighborhoods. We walk the neighborhoods to try and get check for minimum maintenance, overgrowth, building issues. Last year we went out about 18 times, and we covered neighborhoods. I think we were 4 times. It doesn't really matter. We were 4 times in the Highlands, maybe 4 times. Okay, all right. Yeah, so here we are. So we were 3 times in Centerville, 3 times in Pawtuckaville, 3 times in the Acre. I don't need to go through the whole list. I'm sure the council has had a chance to look at this. What we did last year, we were able to retrieve a lot of the parking placards that the parking department had lost track of. And I think we got about 712 of those. So those were returned to parking, and it's a basis for the parking department to reissue new parking placards with that information. So we were out there this evening. I think we probably got about 50. It was crazy. And we typically go out with 2 health inspectors, 2 building inspectors, and a zoning officer, and we check, we just, we converse with the public and make sure that they know why we're out there, and we get a lot of questions, and for the most part, it's received positively because, they're happy to see us out there working and keeping the neighborhood better for them. This map up here gives an idea of the areas that we fit. We typically went for high-density areas where we'd get more bang for the buck, if you will, where we would get more multifamilies. And part of that was to identify multifamilies of 3 and greater that haven't registered with the city. And I'll come back to the Saturday walks. So the certificate of inspections is something that was mandated by the state about 15 years ago, and the department initially sent out notices to all those properties that were 3 or greater, and if you don't have to submit, or if you don't follow up, we got a very low response. So over the years, we've been able to bring more people into line. We started when Manager Golden came in. The emphasis was to get them all registered, and it's been the will of the council for years to do that. So I think in 2023 we had 650 units that had registered with the city, and then in January of 2024 we had 850. There are about 1,470 properties in the city that come under that jurisdiction. We're up to 1,400. We have about 65 left, and we're going to try and get those. Those people are going to come to the table kicking and screaming, but we'll make sure we get them there so that everybody's compliant. The real task will be in 5 years' time when they all come due for re-inspection, because certificate of inspections are good for 5 years. And it's been fun going out, networking with our team building with our inspectors out in the field. So it's a good process. The Saturday building and health inspections, that was something that Manager Golden asked us to get boots and visibility on the ground in the city as well on Saturdays. And we've been able to, we typically go out with 1 health inspector, 1 building inspector, and they canvass the area, the city, and quite often an inspector who's not working will ask that inspector going out check out on properties that he's having problems with. So it's a way to accommodate the inspectors for problem properties. It's a way to accommodate the restaurants that may not be able to accommodate an inspection during a busy week, during the week, so the health inspectors will do food inspections. The statistics are there. We've got quite a few that didn't bother to get building permits, and I believe that we identified over 108 last year. So, and this year I think we've identified 15 already. So it's a good way. People typically, the people that don't want to get permits typically wait till we're off duty or work weekends, and this is one way to capture that. So it's the guys work hard. I'll hand this over to to Matt, sorry, faux pas, to go over the health inspections. But if I'll take any questions if you have any before I hand it over. All right, sounds good. Matt?
Councilor Mercy has one.
Thank you. You do a tremendous job, and I see the staff up there. Great, great job. Thank you for making Lowell looking so beautiful. And when I say that, I'm looking at 318 Andover Street. I hope 318 Andover Street, before and after.
Yes.
A gateway into the city, and it's looking so beautiful. It was kind of like a pet peeve of mine. I kind of target certain buildings that I go by, like there's one on Douglas Road. It's beautiful today, vibrant. Andover Street, vibrant. So thank you so much because when a house like that is deteriorating through no fault of their own, probably the owner is in a nursing home and there's nobody to take care of it, but we got to do something to help the family. But be that as it may, that's what's happening. It deteriorates and takes the property values of surrounding homes down with it, and we don't want that because people take pride in their homes. They like to see everybody doing the same. So I'm very, very grateful. I want to say as well, when you say illegal use of their property, and what does that mean? What is an illegal use of their property?
Well, what we're finding now, well, it's always been, they're trying to cram more living units in their property.
Oh.
So they might put somebody in a basement who, you can't put people in harm's way. A basement is not typically equipped with emergency escape hatches. So, I mean, they're sitting ducks if there were an issue in the basement. So with the staffing that we have, we've been able to actually locate a lot more units than we had. We now have 7 building inspectors, including myself. And one of the biggest moves we made was to put one inspector in Centerville and just focus there. And he's turned up more problem properties that it just makes us have to do more work to bring them into compliance. But at the end of the day, it's all about public safety.
See, my theory is we look good because of the people in the background that do all the work. So thank you for making this council look good. Thank you. The response is great from all the people here. Thank you so
The
much.
clerical staff should not be overlooked because they're the people that get us, keep us in line as far as passing out the paperwork and inspections. They do a tremendous job. So, and to your point about 318 Andover Street, we are targeting other problem properties in the city because, as to your point, if they become run down, the properties around them become run down. So we're in the process of trying to get demolition permits we're working on 2 right now and then 2 after that for properties that should have come down a long time ago. So we'll just keep at it.
Do you want to hear from Mr. Sheehan first before we go to the council? Mr. Sheehan, go ahead. The councils can speak. Yeah. Make them feel left out.
Mr. Mayor Rourke, Manager Golden, members of the council, my name is Matthew Sheehan. I'm the Senior Health Inspector for the city. I currently lead a team of 7 highly skilled professionals: Diane, Adam, Aria, Clement, Gary, Mark, and Sam. Each member is cross-trained in both health and rental inspections, as well as food service inspections. In addition, several members hold certifications in pool inspections and have received specialized training in inspecting tattoo studios. Our team currently works closely with the building inspectors and fire prevention to ensure comprehensive public health and safety oversight. I submit a detailed report of our findings to the Board of Health the first Wednesday of every month. And as the slide in front of you states, in 2024, we conducted 2,299 rental inspections. Minimum maintenance and trash investigations were 5,715 in 2024. First quarter for rental inspections is 986. First quarter for minimum maintenance and trash investigations right now is at 1,208. I thank you for your time and for the city's continued support.
Thank you. Council Dakota, Council Belanger, Council Robinson. Council Dakota, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very informative report. I think what really struck me was the Saturday inspections on the building. 108 properties were identified as working without a permit.
With the weekend warriors who don't
Wow,
want to
108?
Yeah.
So how would you compare that from years past, or, I mean, and what kind of fines do we bestow upon these people?
They pay triple fee when they come in to get their permits, so, whatever the fee may be, we triple it up.
You triple it up?
Yes.
Very good. I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Yep.
Council Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank, what a report. I was ecstatic just to read it over the weekend, and I want to thank everybody involved, ACM Machado, the entire administration, Commissioner, you and your entire staff, the health department. It was just a few years ago where these two departments, that both the health and inspectional services, were both shorthanded. Now, today, 2025, they both have a full complement of inspectors on both sides of the aisle. And look what they're achieving. They are working together in tandem, boots on the ground, going into the congested neighborhoods where it's needed the most, improving our neighborhoods all throughout the city. All corners of the city has been looked at. And again, I want to emphasize Councilor Dakota's point that he made on Saturdays. It's very popular for homeowners to do a job on a Saturday thinking no one's on duty. Well, guess what? We're watching, and you got the numbers to prove it. Properties can get neglected for whatever reason, as Councilor Mercia mentioned, but we try and work with building owners, but when it's intentional and you bring to the table, you're going to levy fines against them, you're going to get action, and that's been proven. So, Commissioner, thank you. Health Department, thank you. Keep up this good work. I'm extremely pleased. So great initiative, Mr. Manager, something we need to keep going on for sure. Do not let up. Thank you very much.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. As you mentioned, Centerville, I can't thank you and your team enough. And one thing I'd like to highlight and point out is, it's not like inspectional services just shows up, writes you a ticket, or penalizes you. I've seen countless times where you and the team of professionals you work with will bend over backwards to kind of coach and guide people to get back into compliance with something that they either don't understand, didn't necessarily have the means to do initially, and you've been patient and given them time. In other instances, when they try to pull the wool over, I've been thankful that you and your team would step up and address it as accordingly. I mean, we found in Centerville some very unsafe situations, thanks to your team, that addressed it very quickly as well. And now, just some of the very dense areas of the district, Hampshire Street, Coburn Street, you take a walk through there now, and what a difference the past couple of years has made, thanks to you and your team, because it's not even the stick approach as much as you guys have been offering the carrot to a lot of the residents that needed it, and just giving the guidance. I can't tell you how many people I've steered towards your department just for some advice because they had concerns or questions about a process. So thank you all for what you do, and it's greatly appreciated, especially in densely populated areas, because those little bits go a long way and you see the impact immediately. Thank you.
Councilor Young?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to commend your work. You work hard, and everyone on the weekend, and it's great to make the city safe, all the residents safe. And as a councillor, I want to be sure that your department and every other department fully funded. It's our job to provide you with the means and the finance to continue to work to improve the lives of our city. So the budget's coming soon to the council. So I, for one, make sure that the city is fully funded so that you can continue good work that you are doing right now. Again, thank you, Commissioner. Thanks all the staff up there. Thank you.
Councilor Gitcha?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. I want to also commend your staff. We get the updates from Assistant City Manager Machado in an email, and just some of the things that you guys do. You can look on like Chapel Street, possible new freestanding garage you guys notify us about. You got parking sign removals, which was a major problem in the city for the revenue for the parking department. People just threw them up. They're 10 years old. You go out, you pull them down. And a lot of other things that you already highlighted are done by your department. You got a big plate to cover when you're in the building. And then I've been to health department meetings where Mr. Sheehan has stood up there, and it's not popular to walk into a restaurant and tell them, this is deficient and you need to step it up, and the Board of Health stands by all the evidence that's provided, pictures, and then you watch people come back into compliance for the health of the residents and stuff. So it really is a fine-tuned department from what it was a few years back. And I think it's important that people understand that it's ever evolving, because as you go out, you see something else in these walks, or you do another inspection, you see things done. So I think that when you watch it, it's important that, you can see that evolve the way it is. And, the assistant city manager, Machado, is a major part, because he was the one who had sent us all of this stuff and talk about, all the great things that you guys have done. He's a big piece to what all of you guys do, and we can't thank you enough. Thank you.
I think when Mr. Fuller got rid of Mr. Machado, the health department, things improved greatly.
That's what I was getting at in a roundabout way.
I'm not saying.
I was saying that in a roundabout way, Mr. Machado. It was a great move for both parties.
That's right. Yeah. Council Janess. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to echo and just thank the entire DDS team for all your work. It's really making a difference in the city, and you can see it. Like Councilor Mercier, we all have those properties that we drive by all the time and we look at, and we see the change over time. May not happen overnight, but you guys get to it and you make a difference and it improves it. And I know that we all appreciate it. I know the neighbors appreciate it. So I just wanted to say thank you and keep up the good work. One other thing I'd like to just throw out there, see if it's a possibility that we include in some of these walks and inspections and things are the alleyways downtown. A lot of the abutting buildings might need to step up their game a little bit because they are responsible for the alley, and a lot of times they either don't know that or choose to not know that, we'll say. So anything we can do to help keep those clean and healthy, we'll certainly address some of the rodent issues we see, some of the other quality of life issues we see, so that would be great. And then the waterways. Our city has canals and rivers and ponds and everything, and those can use some help here and there. I don't know how much of that falls under the bailiwick of DDS, but the more eyeballs we have on these kind of things and can work to improve them, I know everybody will appreciate them. But I know you guys have a lot on your plate already. I don't want to add more, but those are just a couple things that were kicking around in my mind as we were going through this. But thank you again for all your hard work, and look forward to continuing to see the improvements in the neighborhoods. Thank you.
Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with all the comments my colleague stated already. I want to thank the department for all the wonderful job that you do. I echo Councilor Robinson's comment. You folks are not only just there just to enforce the ordinance or the rules or what have you. I'm just amazed at how professional, how courteous, how friendly you and your staff are. More often than not, whether the individuals do it on purpose, they don't know always, or they try to get away with it. You always showed up, try to help. That's your first step. If they did something wrong already, lack of a better word, you try to help them fix it the legal way by code and so forth. I mean, it's just, you are there to make sure that the residents succeed and the small businesses in Lowell succeed, not really to punish them. I have many experience with your department where the small businesses are so thankful with your guidance, with your help. That make it work, not a headache. Now, we want to encourage the residents to improve their properties. We want to encourage the small businesses to grow the business, have customers, and so forth. And many times, you and your staff are the ones that make them very successful in their goals and whatever they're trying to achieve. So thank you and all your staff.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring one statistic to your attention. We didn't really touch on the permits issued, and I won't belabor the point, but last year we had over, I believe it's over 80 housing starts, which is really remarkable for Lowell, because typically we might have 20 to 25. Now that does encompass apartment buildings, but for some reason there were a lot of single family homes built last year, and I don't think we'll hit that target this year, but we certainly will hit units as far as apartments go, because there's a lot of construction going on. Last year, I think we did, the value of the permits that we issued was over $266 million was the dollar value submitted to us. And if you translate that into permit fees, it's about, it comes into over 250, no, I'm sorry. It's a lot of money. It's 1% of that. Yeah. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. There's a lot coming on with a lot of commercial work at Markley. We're over at the high school on a daily basis. We're just, we try and keep on top of everything. So thank you for your time.
I just wrap things up by saying, thank you for all the incredible work. It's recognized, it's noticeable when you're in the city. Special thanks to our assistant city manager, Giovanni Baez-Rose, Mr. Fuller, the Jesus with the Sheen, and everybody that's here at the site tonight. We see you out in the city. We see all the great work that you all are doing, and you make the city look good, and you make us look good. So, from the bottom of our hearts, the mayor's office and the city council, and the manager as well, we thank you. All right, returning to the any other motions out of order?
6.3, please.
By Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Scott, taking motion 6.3 out of order. Request City Council administration consider sending a letter of support for HR 540 911 Saves Act of 2025 to Congresswoman Trahan's office, as well as our state delegation, supporting any similar litigation. Seconded by Councilor Noon. Councilor Robinson.
There is registered speakers here, Mr. Mayor. I have Aaron Gendron.
Aaron Gendron, 56 Weatherby. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councilors. I wanted to speak in support of this motion to send a letter of support to for 911 Saves Act of 2025. I also wanted to mention House Bill 2818, an act relative to Massachusetts Certified Emergency Telecommunicators. This was brought forth by Lowell's representative, Rodney Elliott. This bill is similar to the Saves Act, would reclassify emergency telecommunication workers as Group 2. This supports public safety workers with benefits relative to hazards experienced on the job, which would include secondary trauma. This bill would show emergency telecommunication workers that they are supported, seen, and heard in the vital and impactful daily role they fill in our city. Thank you for your consideration.
Christopher LeMay.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Manager, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm here tonight to speak to you on behalf of my colleagues that live that day, every day, in the 911 center. We take calls that a lot of people could never dream of having to take. We're there every single day to support our officers in the field, to support the firefighters that run into the burning buildings. We're there to get them the resources they need, while also dealing with the public and the resources and the requests that they have. Every single time you guys see a bunch of police cars running to a call, just remember there's somebody sending them there, getting them that information, helping them along, doing a lot of footwork in the background. 911 dispatchers deal with numerous domestic violence calls, mental health issues, calls involving children, whether it be a lost child, injured child, and we have to take that home with us every single day. A lot of times we get no closure. We don't know what happened. The folks who respond to the calls, a lot of times, though just as traumatic, they do get that closure, one way or the other. They find out. We legit do take that first responder role very seriously. We really are the first responder. We're the first ones to get there, whether it be an officer asking for assistance, which has happened numerous times to me in my career. It's a very scary moment, when an officer's screaming on a microphone asking for help, and you just want to be there with them, and you're doing everything in your power to get them the resources they need. Same thing with the public, whether it be dealing with a simple parking issue, which could be the world to the person calling. But we're still trying to work with the resources that we have to answer all of those calls and deal with the other emergencies coming in at the same time. So I just stand up here today on behalf of my colleagues requesting that the city draft some sort of motion or some sort of letter in support. You know, I'm not really sure how much can be done on the local level for this, but you know, maybe if we go state, federal, the more the better. You know, we really would appreciate it. We're there for everyone. We're hoping everyone's here for us today. Thank you for your time.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. It was a no-brainer when I saw this bill and other legislation get filed and pushed. I represented this group for a while as a union president in Lowell, and the amount of insane incidences that these people have to face on a nightly and daily basis, it's beyond what any of us probably have ever experienced. And as the speaker mentioned, they don't get the closure. In addition to, this is a job for these people, and they're expected to go home and hit a switch and decompress and unwind and forget whatever traumas or whatever they had to face that night at work. The many traumas that they had to face, I should say. It's finally getting recognized and acknowledged from the feds, from the state. I'm glad to hear. And so I think anything we can do to help push this along and help get them into a retirement group that takes into consideration the wear and tear on the mind and the bodies that these people face, I think it's the least we could do. HR 540, Congresswoman Trahan's bill, one of the key pieces that stood out to me is they're recognizing the risks associated with exposure to traumatic events. Some agencies provide critical incident stress debriefing teams to lessen the psychological impact and accelerate recovery for public safety telecommunicators and first responders alike. Yes, we focus a lot on the mental health with our first responders, but there's not too many conversations about focus on the mental health for our telecommunication operators. So I think, again, anything we can do to show support to the people that support us is rightly so. So thank you.
Councilor Chow?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a great motion by the maker of the motion, and I thank the speakers for being here. You know, it's like the maker of the motion mentioned, it's a no-brainer. The dispatcher, the things that they go through, as the speaker mentioned, I think by having this bill passed and supported, it will provide more resources, more training, better benefits to the first responders, to dispatchers like the first responders. So I am in support of both, but I would like to ask the maker of the motion. Sounds like there's two parts to this. One is to the Congresswoman, which I would like to need to recluse myself from voting, and I will vote on the part to the state delegation. If you could separate those two motions, that'd be great.
Sure, I'm willing.
Councilor Getcha?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. One of our major challenges in society is taking mental health serious and comparing it to physical health. And, you know, we push all these bills through for the physical health and because we can see it. But one day in that office, I'm sure answering telephones will be a lifetime in my life. I don't want to do it. I was the union president of 1705 many years ago when we started to push for raises for dispatchers and equal time on their shifts and changing shifts. And it was a tough challenge to do because back then we had no understanding for mental health like we have today. I think that it would be not wise of this council not to support something like this because we are supporting mental health and we talk about it every single month. We see police officers, they go out to a scene and they see somebody pass away and they go right back to the next scene. The dispatcher does the same exact thing, except they don't get out of their little cubicle before the next phone call is made. And I just think it's very important that we start recognizing mental health in this country. And, you know, when we look at a lot of the unhoused and things like that, we're not recognizing it enough. And actually at the state level, we're cutting it, which makes no sense to me. we need to start taking mental health serious, and I do believe that the dispatchers deserve this, and there should be times where, we look at it more serious. So I thank you to the maker of the motion and to Councilor Chow for their commitment to this. Thank you.
Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate Councilor Robinson for the motions. As we all know that, the first responder, we talk about police and fires, but the actual person before the first responder, before you send cruisers to the house, the 911 center is the one who pick up the phone and receive those, difficult call from domestic violence to sexual assault to shooting and so many other calls for help. And they dare, and certainly, every call coming in, and particularly if it's violent related, it doesn't leave their head when they go home, it stay in their head. When people are talking about secondary trauma, is real. The dispatchers get it, and most cannot, have difficult time perform their job. What we can do to help them will be greatly in terms of debriefing, mental health, counseling and whatnot to help them, because secondary trauma is real. So we need to do what we can to take care of them. In support of letter to Congresswoman Johan and or the state delegation, if there's any bill related to that, we certainly have to do our most due diligence to help that. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I feel rather guilty because when you think of first responders, you think about the police or the fire that responded to the incident, and you wholeheartedly, without doubt, forget that the first responder is the person as well that answered the phone to get them there. So my apologies for not thinking about it, but thank you for setting the record straight. And it must be a horrible thing to answer the phone, be doing your job, and hear a panicked mother saying, "My child is choking to death." How horrible is that call? I never give it a thought, but thank you for alerting me that I, unexcusably forgot the very people that send the responders there. So thank you for all that you do. It's just amazing, and I'm sorry, but I congratulate you for doing such a great job. I know that when you go home, a lot of this comes with you, and I don't know I wouldn't know what to do, but there's so many tragedies lately. A 4-year-old boy drowns, so many horrible things, and you have to hear that. My heart goes out to each and every one of the dispatchers for putting yourself in a position where it's not an easy job. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you.
Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do appreciate the motion here tonight, and I wanted to show support. I think Councilor Mercia makes a great point of how it's a very unsung position. The first responders live it out in the field, but they live it too on the inside. And it's time they be put in the same category as police, fire, and EMTs. They're right there as well. They're very important to us. We want to show them appreciation and thank them for what they do. Lowell's a very, very busy city for them. And it's day in and day out. It's nonstop. And I never hear of any issue or problems down there to speak of. And that's a show of strength to them. And I want to give them the support they deserve. So I think it's a good motion, one I intend on supporting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also just like to commend my colleagues for putting this forward. I think it's a good motion. I definitely support it. I can't imagine, as Councilor Mercia said, the job that you do, the chronic stress that must cause you in your body, exposing yourself to traumatic stress. I just want to commend you all for doing the job, and I think you should be recognized for that with this bill. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Councilor Chow, the clerk is aware of the distinction. Back to 6.1, Councilor Gitche requests city manager work with the state delegation to file a petition with the general council, general court, seeking the adoption of special legislation as set out below, an act authorizing the city of Lowell to prohibit or restrict application of second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides. Get that one out. Section 1, notwithstanding Chapter 132B of general laws, many general or special law to the contrary, the city of Lowell may by ordinance prohibit and restrict application of second generation within the city of Lowell, including application of such pesticides by licensed commercial applicators as defined in 333 CMR 10, and also Section 2, the act shall take effect upon its passage. Seconded by Councilor Janess. Councilor Gitche.
Do we have any registered speakers?
No.
The motion's put forth basically seeking a home rule petition written by the city solicitor to, and then try to get it going that way. But, you know, at the same time, I'd like to also amend the motion to add to it that we also write a letter to the Speaker of the House and the Senate supporting Senate Bill S644, Rep. Moore's bill on this, and also House Bill H965, Rep. Hawkins' bill. I think those two are really the major drivers. We're trying to push those two to get passed throughout the state. But at the same time, if it doesn't get there, then we would like to have a home rule petition. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Janess.
Mr. Mayor, I just would like to commend you on your pronunciation of rodenticides.
Yeah,
It's gotten a lot better.
Hopefully the last time. I doubt it, though. 6.2, Councilor Robinson requests city manager have the proper department explore potential options for the creation of a senior playground, as well as recommendation on best suited locations. Seconded by Councilor Yem. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. This was brought to me by a constituent in my neighborhood. And what they brought to my attention was, you know, they said it's great. We see the city has made investment in open space across the city in many areas, and it's wonderful. One thing that we haven't really seen is anything suited towards the seniors. Yes, they're welcome to enjoy the space just like the next person, but they sent me a link, and what a senior playground is, outdoor senior fitness parks might include elements like stationary and recumbent bicycles, side-by-side striders, face-to-face leg presses, and hand-eye dexterity games. You also might find walking paths with ramps, steps, and arches, games like bocce, ping pong, or horseshoes, and shaded seating areas. So, I mean, I know we are doing massive improvements to our open space, and I thought that was something that I found this constituent was right. I don't know how much attention has been paid to implementing and intertwining and intermeshing some of these kind of activities and providing it. So even some of those adult use exercise equipments, and if there's any areas that DPD and the city thinks would be conducive to trying something along these lines, I'd be more than willing to help do what I can to support that. So thank you very much.
Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a great idea. Thanks for putting it forward. And I think one thing we may want to consider is maybe not necessarily one fixed place playground, so to speak, but if we could incorporate some of these elements along, you know, a lot of the walking paths we have throughout the city might be a way to do this. I know many of our seniors do enjoy getting out and walking on the paths. So maybe you're walking along the Riverwalk and you come across one of these items, or, you know, one of the canalways, same thing. Might be a nice way to kind of spread it out and give options for people. Not a solely, you know, not to the exclusion of anything else, but just something to consider. Thank you.
Ms. Byers, a quick question. We have, with the new parks like being done, how many of them have pickleball courts in them? Do you know how many?
Yeah, so pickleball is one that we heard, it is a sport that we've heard is lower stress on the joints than tennis and has become very popular. And so there are going to be new courts installed at Father Maguire and at O'Donnell. We also are likely going to be installing, I think, one at Gage And at Highland Park, there's also going to be one. Father McGuire will also have one. So that is something that exists similarly to the comments made by Councilor Robinson. We do have some exercise equipment that is available along the walking path of Sheehy Park, and at the playground that's a part of Shed that is on the Boylston Street side. That also is a location that has some of that sort of all-season exercise equipment that's available, but DPD can certainly look at other alternatives that exist. I know there's a lot of equipment and different things that we can do either with equipment or just with the landscape to allow for everybody to enjoy it.
Thank you. Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a timely motion, Councilor Robinson. Recently, I applied and eligible with AARP. So, so it's, I could use some of this facility, but all joking aside, and in addition to Councilor Jeanette's comment, we can integrate some of this senior park along the public walkway, along the river, and the maker of the motion also mentioned some, we are limited in areas and space, and as the Assistant City Manager, Ms. Ivani, just mentioned, taking Shed Park, but maybe, Mr. Manager, if you could look at all the public parks as well. A lot of grandparents take their grandkids to go play at the parks. All the parks are being redone, renovated, and improved. Maybe along those set where the kids play, maybe just build alongside, near, attached to it somehow, an area for the seniors, for the elderly residents in our community. And I know for one, I would be one of the first to use it as well. Thank you.
Councilor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the weather get better and we have a beautiful park in different parts of the cities in different districts, my thought right away is a Tai Chi. I've seen a lot of cities and they have the Tai Chi for senior. It's a form of really exercise that really help the movement for our seniors. So maybe that's also can be part of the plan for the future for our senior. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a wonderful motion, specifically because I'm the most senior person here.
Yeah, but Councilor Dakota's older, though.
Yeah, well, there you go. But I thought maybe because this is such a great motion and we're finally thinking about seniors, perhaps we can refer this motion to the senior subcommittee, and we usually meet on a Thursday, which I think may be May 22nd, if anybody wants to. I'll book that, Mr. City Clerk. See, I'm getting everything done right here and now, so I don't have to bother you tomorrow on the phone. And then Giovanni Bias-Rose has some great suggestions. We could initiate her to come down with the city clerk and talk to our seniors and probably get some ideas from them. So how would that be? Could we refer this?
Seconded by Councilor Robinson.
1 o'clock.
All those in favor say aye.
So May 22nd, 1 o'clock. All right, gentlemen? Okay, good.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.4, Councilor Robinson requests city manager have the proper department provide an update on Parks Department trash truck and include maintenance log. Seconded by Councilor Yam. Councilor Robinson.
Motion speaks for itself.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.5, Councilor Robinson requests city manager have the proper department provide a detailed report on the process to obtain a hawkers and peddlers license. Seconded by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I'm looking for the process, and also specifically if you could include what, if any, local control do we have on this process? I don't know if it's something outdated, but it's been brought to my attention that we had a resident that went through the process to obtain this, and we encourage small business startup, like incredibly. And I guess a 10-year-old criminal record came up. And so it didn't stop the process, but I just think I don't know how old these regulations are on the books, and whereas we're seeing even organizations such as the Bridge Club that just is installing a commercial kitchen, and part of their work is including reentry work, getting people their Serve Safe and OSHA certifications and getting them back on their feet. So if there's anything we can do to kind of remove any of the hurdles that might be in people's way, I think it's worth taking a look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having served on the License Commission, I believe the first step would be to go through the License Commission Secretary, and then we go to the full commission for a vote.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.6, Council Noon, request city manager have the superintendent of police reach out to vendors to host a promotional test prep course at Lowell City Hall for a future assessment center. Seconded by Councilor Robinson. Council Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that our city worked very hard to try to recruit, not just with the police and the fire, but also across the department, recruit qualified individuals. I think this is part of not just recruit, but also retain them through promotion. So there are a number of patrolmen and women who have been studying. Every year there's one promotional exam test, I think it's sometime in June. Only once a year for those patrolmen and women who has been studying policy, procedures, and so on for the police department. So they've been studying for it, and I think, and they pay their way to take those tests. Take those tests. The vendor who give those tests, it's not just to patrolmen and women from our city, but also from other city and towns as well. So as they, of course, they're paying their way to take the test, but I feel that a city, particularly the police, will be able to help in terms of host this a promotional test prep prior to the actual test, so that those men and women who prepare to take the test kind of know where they're lacking, or what they're lacking, and what they need to study more 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the actual exam itself. That's the idea for it. I mean, I know that June's coming up. I'm not sure if we're able to do that in the next couple weeks to provide this, this prep course thing for the men and women who prepare to take this test. If we can, it'll be great. If not, we can just, maybe get it ready for the next year.
Councilor Getchia?
If it's okay with the maker of the motion, if we could look at the high school instead of here because of technology and everything within the building, if someone brings in a laptop or something like that, that would probably be a better place if there's more people, that's all. The high school would probably be a better place.
I have no objections to that.
Thank you. The other question is to you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager. What are the retention rates at the police department? Are they people leaving, or is it something that we don't have a problem with?
Mr. Manager?
I'd be doing this off the top of my head, but approximately, I believe we have 215 officers. We should have 250. 215 to 220 officers. 111F is something that when an officer gets hurt or injured, we'll go back and forth. So that number is always floating. I don't think we've had too many officers out right now, but in total, I would probably say with 111F officers and the retirements, we're probably in and around the 120, 125 number. We have approximately 12 candidates or cadets that are going through, and we also will be talking about the next piece as far as the police department and the hybrid model. So we'll be talking about that and hopefully bringing that to the council in the next couple of weeks of where we are with that. So we're in a good position, I think. There are a lot more people taking the exam now, and I think we're kind of through one of the stickiest parts. But July is coming up, and I was talking to the superintendent, and he's concerned. Everyone starts to take their vacations and whatnot. So we'll try to move judiciously as quickly as possible in regards to the hybrid, and try to get up to the 235, 240 range as quick as possible.
Besides retirements, do we have a lot of officers leaving for other departments in other cities or towns, or do they just quit? besides retirements and the 111Fs. Is there a large number that do that, or is it something that we don't even worry about?
Manager?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the council. That's such a small number. People leave for a host of reasons. And quite frankly, sometimes people take time off and come back if they try another vocation or whatever and find out that we've had that happen. And those are all onesies, but we don't have anyone leaving. It's a good, strong, professional department, and I think they're doing a fine job. And quite frankly, I think that due to the fact that this council has moved forward with the wage adjustments that we've done, this is a good opportunity on the hybrid side. There are a lot of people looking to come to work in Lowell, and the reason is because of the professionalism, because of the opportunity for advancement. And this department is really head and shoulders above the rest. And I know we have friends and family that are in other cities and towns that do a fine job as well. But the Lowell Police Department is doing such an excellent job that I would anticipate on hybrid that if we were to put out 5, 6, 10 people for hybrid, I would think we would fill them rather quickly with officers who are ready to quote unquote hit the street.
All set, Council Chow? Do you have something? You're all set? Okay. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.7, Council Noon. Request city manager have the superintendent of police update the council on the hybrid model for the Lowell Police Department with regards to civil service. Seconded by Council Scott. Council Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before November 2024, the police and the fire department chief of both departments cannot hire outside of civil service exam, right? So in November of 2024, the civil service exam requirement reform was passed and signed into law sometime in that month, I believe November 2024, as part of the economic development package. The reform include hybrid, as the managers alluded to, hybrid hiring. So you can hire up to 50% entry level for the police and fire department workforce. You can come from the outside traditional civil service exam. So one does not have to take civil service exam for the police or the fire chief to hire them and send them to the academy. The manager indicated that we have now 250s, and the maximum that we for the police department is 250. We have now 215. So out of those 215, if you look at the that workforce, we need to do our best to increase the number of women and minority to that force by applying this hybrid hiring that just passed in November 2024. Because this is only 10 years, this is only temporary. This should expire back sometime in 2035, unless it becomes permanent. I hope to see it permanent, because that way you're going to see a forces that reflecting the population that we serve, men and women, minorities and alike. In both departments, I put it as police department, but this also applied to the fire department as well. So this is an opportunity that I'd like to see the both chief bring back to us what their plan in terms of exercise using the hybrid hiring to bring more of a diverse to their department. Thank you.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.8, Councilor Yem. Request city manager have the appropriate department install a welcome sign at the beginning of the new Thorndike Street. Seconded by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Yem.
I have a photo that I like to show because a resident pointed out the welcome to Lowell sign located at the corner of Middlesex Street and Central Street, and she pointed out to me, and I realized how beautiful the sign is I have not noticed this sign at all until recently, and she suggested, why can't we have it at the beginning of the new Thorndike Street as we come down from the Lowell connector? So I thought it's a really a good suggestion. And I think this sign, it looked a lot better than the sign, the famous sign that say, welcome to Las Vegas. You know, this one is much better. So, and then I'd like to also commend the manager on the Thorndike street that the worker have cleaned out, and it's beautiful right now. So if you were to drive by, so it will go well with this sign, you know, at beginning of the road coming to Lowell. Thank you.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.9, Councilor Young. Request city manager have the appropriate department update the council on a bicentennial celebration. Seconded by Councilor Janess. Councilor Young.
Motion speak for itself, Mr. Mayor.
Favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.10, Councilor Scott. Request city manager send a letter to the delegation and the Mass DOT to inquire about the process to install noise barriers along Route 495, along Exit 91, and along the Gorham Street Bridge area. Seconded by Councilor Janess. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually probably should not have listed specific areas in my motion. I actually heard from quite a few people after I made it asking me, you know, about the Boylston Lane condominiums, about other locations, you know, the Lowell connector. So really the question is just what is the criteria to add noise walls? I know in Andover along 495 and along 93 they've been adding them. In Woburn they've been adding them. I did, since I made the motion, receive an email from a resident in Chelmsford that I had met at the Gorham Street Bridge Project meeting, and she provided me with a spreadsheet of the last study that was done in 1988, which was the noise wall locations. Lowell is number 16 on the list along 495. So just if we could get some more clarification on what we need to do, and I know this isn't something that's happening tomorrow, maybe it's 10 years from now, but if we don't start the process, then we don't start the process. So thank you.
Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to bring this to the next discussion I have with the Northern Middlesex MPO. Mascot is present at those meetings, so I can push this there as well. But I think getting the letter and maybe speaking to our state delegation is probably a good way to go as well.
Thank you very much for that.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, if it's okay with you, maybe the letter is more along the decibel level. If we can have Mass DOT, because that's what they will end up moving towards, because I'm sure you're getting a lot of phone calls, but maybe we can ask them to run a decibel test as to where it would actually impact. Because I do know this, having worked with this in the past over along Route 3, that people may want it, but until it's an appropriate, or inappropriate, I should say, an inappropriate decibel level, Mass DOT won't even move forward with it. So if that's okay, maybe we can ask them to do a study along the corridor.
Yeah, that would be excellent. Updated study, I guess. Like I said, they did have the report that showed 2 Lowell locations on it, one for 3,400 feet along Route 495 and another for 3,600 feet that they had qualified at that point in time. So I'm assuming it still qualifies. I don't think it's quieted down on 495, that's for sure. So I guess really I just want to know, I mean, is it who complains the loudest? I mean, what is the process to actually get it going, and who should residents reach out to get this, process going? So thank you.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.11, Councilor Scott and myself, request the city manager work with the state to clean up the areas around River Meadow Brook and the Bruce Freeman Trail. No second needed. Councilor Scott.
Thank you very much. I think this really actually does speak for itself, even though it's a complicated issue. The area is filled right now with some RVs, with some boats. I'm hearing from residents about it. They're all along the bike trail. They've basically said the bike trail is rendered unusable because there's some fear, I guess, around this group in particular. They did ask, they did mention that there was a lot of garbage, a lot of trash there right now. So really that's the gist of the motion. I mean, especially, like I said, boats, RVs. I mean, it's just not acceptable. Thank you.
I'm sure we can contact Chelmsford and going up the trail, Mr. Manager, to have them jump on board as well. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Council had gone out there on Sunday, and it's tucked in between a Kia dealership as well as the
Target,
the plaza. So it's over there, and I think Co-op has already been out there. But this is something we're working towards. The Assistant City Manager, Machado, is going to be out speaking with them before the end of this week. So we will be moving in that direction. But, Councilor, to your point, you were correct. I visually saw with my own eyes, there are boats and cars, and it's unacceptable.
Do me a favor, can you ask him how to get the boat out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah, I'm sure that,
I
I don't know if they're registered.
It's a real boat.
Could I just add also that it's not just that area, it's the River Meadow Brook going along the connector right now. It's just filled. I walked back there. There is so much garbage in the brook. There's shopping carts, metal shopping carts. There's just trash everywhere back there. So if we could just really have someone take a look at the area. Thank you.
Councilor, get you.
Thank you. Through you to Assistant City Manager Machado. Back at the beginning of April, late March, I had reached out to you because the plaza down there had moved them from their property. And then they ended up there, and you had said you were going to reach out to the state at that time. Can you just give us an update on what they said to you at that point?
I'm actually sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
I'm actually meeting with MassDOT, a few members of MassDOT tomorrow out there, and they're going to get a contractor and hopefully do a cleaning out there.
It takes them a month to get to meet with you. Can you imagine? But we did reach out at that time because everybody has the same concern. It started at the car wash and then ended up on the property of the plaza. Then the plaza kicked them off of the private property, and they're down there. And at that time, I had reached out to you and said that they were giving people a hard time down there, and they couldn't walk by. And we just spent $2 million down there on that trail, and now you can't even go by. But thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 612 by myself, motion by Mayor Rourke. Request city manager place Delaware Ave on a paving list. Seconded by Councilor Yem. This was, I think, a couple of Saturdays ago. I went out there, met with a couple of residents, and to the manager's credit, he was doing his Saturday morning drive-by. We called him. He came out, met with the residents, and Mr. Manager, hopefully we get some action out there sooner rather than later. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Section 7, communications from the city manager. 7.1A, motion response by Street and Barker Ave paving list. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you for the report. Again, I know it's going to be tricky for the next couple of years over in Centerville between CSO work and trying to navigate that. So any possible corrections or surface patches we can do in the meantime to prevent at least popping tires is greatly appreciated. But I've been explaining to everyone with the CSO work, it's just our hands are tied in some instances. So thank you for the report.
Councilor Gitcha.
One thing that's extremely disturbing in the report is where it says, however, the sidewalk is in poor condition primarily due to damage believed to be caused by vehicles parking illegally on the sidewalk. We have it all throughout the city. Sidewalks are not made for cars, but they keep parking on there, and then you can see the ruts just increasing, and they're ruining city property. What do we have in place to change this way of thinking? I know we raised the curbs around, like, say, Calorie Park. We went back to the reveal of 6-inch reveal of the curb up there, so you couldn't jump on it. But when you look at some of these areas, you go down Stevens Street, it's filled with people parking almost on the sidewalk where people can't walk by.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, I know you know this Ludlam Street area. It's a very tight area. I live over there myself in that area between Billings and Ludlam. That's a challenge. The smaller streets are a challenge. But we will be, and I've been telling councils, I apologize, we've been talking about this ordinance, this parking ordinance coming forward, which we're still working on it. We want to make sure that as opposed to tying our police officers up out in areas, we want to make sure that the parking enforcement folks would have the ability to go out there and not ticket, warn people, let them know that this is not acceptable. But we have to be careful. There are, quite frankly, some streets, and I'll say that maybe not shouldn't have sidewalks. They're so small. I think West L Street always comes to my mind, which is off of Jewett and Coben. So when the parking ordinance comes forward, it's going to give us, hopefully, I'm going to be asking the council a little bit more flexibility with moving our assets around throughout the city to make sure that things similar to this could be addressed. And once again, it's not about finding people, it's about re-educating and letting them know that not parking on sidewalks and ruining sidewalks, et cetera, will hopefully be our intention behind the parking ordinance and being able to move quicker. The intent, once again, on the finances would be that the council would obviously have ultimate control of all the finances, but giving me a little bit more opportunity to talk to the parking enforcement folks to get into different neighborhoods. So therefore, we're not tying up the police department with stuff like this.
In the interim, are we looking at changing the specs on how the sidewalks are being reconstructed because of some of these areas? Because at the end of the day, we're putting out new sidewalks, and they're just driving right up and on them and parking on them. And it's, one hand is not washing the other. We're spending good money and then watching it where you can't walk by, and then, it's damaged. And when you look on Middlesex Street, almost across from the DPW, you can see them, they all park on the sidewalk down there, and there's plenty of room.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilor, I'm not an expert on the height, the appropriate height, but I would think that if we do change the ordinance to allow the flexibility, then the coaching and teaching moment of warning people, and that's what we've done with everything. 25 mile an hour is the whole bit, and kind of teaching people that this is not acceptable anymore, that we can't do this, and my hope would be that would be enough. We don't want to fine people, especially parking on a sidewalk in front of the house because they're nervous about their car. So this is a challenge, and it's real on the West L streets of the neighborhood that I grew up on as well. So,
Councilor Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment. I know in Back Central, it's obviously an ongoing issue, and we get them off the sidewalk and then they go back on the sidewalks again. And I think part of the problem there is that we really probably have to start looking at some more one-way streets in that area. The only way two cars are going to get down some of the streets is if the cars are on the sidewalk. So that's what they do. They do what they have to do for the cars to get through. The only thing that I would ask that maybe we could look at, I know we did we've done some public campaigns around different things, like putting cones out and, for sidewalk, space savers. We did a campaign on if we could look at doing something about sidewalk parking. I think that would probably be a good idea. Thank you.
Moving on, motion response. B, Shattuck Street cobblestone replacement. Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. Thank you for the report. I'm glad to see that we're going to at least try to address the joints in the cobblestones. It's pretty uneven down there. I mean, and that's something, even myself, walking around, especially at downtown, I struggle with. I understand the historic value of the cobblestones, but man, what a nightmare it is when you're dealing with walkability and drivability. It's just, I wish there was a compromise where maybe we go to an asphalt street in the center and use the cobblestones on the edges for a decorative finish or something, but I mean, it's going to be, we're never going to be able to address, I don't think I've seen really a smooth cobblestone street, so I don't know what we can do there. But I appreciate National Grid for at least coming back, and it's good to see we do have a 5-year pretty much agreement with them on restorative work. Thank you.
Councilor Janess?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks to my colleague for bringing this up, but just wanted to mention that this was a topic of conversation at the downtown meeting last night. Residents are noticing it, and residents are worried about it and concerned about it getting worse and not better. These kind of things tend to do that over time. So the more eyes we can keep on it, and whatever we can do to make it stable and not continue to degenerate and cause tripping hazards, when I drove down that street a couple weeks ago and my head was bouncing off the roof of my car and I was only going about 3 miles an hour. So I'm sure I'm not the only one, but whatever we can do to smooth it out, I think people would be very appreciative. Thank you.
Councilor Janess, how you can fit in your car is beyond me. All right, I've seen you in that car downtown. All right, you guys, well, yeah. Get yourself an SUV, you'll be all set. Yeah. 7.1 motion response to section C. Motion response, Douglas Road sidewalk. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the administration, and traffic engineer Ting Chang is in the audience tonight. I appreciate her hanging around. But great report. Now this is great in the sense that it connects all the work that's been done and going to be done, particularly the Riley School playground, There's a new training facility going in at Colley Stadium that will break ground by the end of this year. And this makes it all connectable. So, Mr. Manager, I appreciate your administration's forward thinking here. It's all about accessibility in this neighborhood where Douglas Road was unwalkable, really, with families with strollers could not access without loading kids and strollers into the car and going to the playground. So this is a game changer in the neighborhood, and my constituents are very happy about it. But, Mr. Mayor, through you, through to Ting Chang, I know she's still in the audience tonight, if she could come to the podium. And we met with some residents on Douglas Road last week, too. They're very pleased. And Ting was great. Ting, so the paving looks like it's going to stop at Gershom Terrace, which is pretty much right at the entrance of Janice Rink. Is that where it's going to stop, Gershom?
It is for this phase, because of the Colley Stadium project will be right in front of that, between Gerson's and Donald Terrace. So we will be stopping at Gerson Terrace at this particular project.
At this particular project, yeah, it does make sense. I would agree. If we can incorporate that paving when we do the stadium parking lot in 27, that'd be great. But I'll also let you know that the word is spread. The Douglas Road, the constituents, again, are very pleased, but there's also residents from Colley Stadium to Rogers Street. And many of them have families and children and would like, you only got a short span there to Rogers Street, but nonetheless, they were inquiring about sidewalks too. So please, I'd like you and the administration to keep that food for thought in 2027, in a couple of years when we do pave the rest of it, that I've already received a few inquiries about a sidewalk, or at least on one side, to access the stadium on that level as well.
So the goal is eventually we'll bring the sidewalk all the way down to Douglas, to Rogers Street.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's great news, and I know we're at least 2 years away on that end. But I appreciate all your hard work and your outreach to my constituents. They're very pleased with you and what's going on. And Mr. Manager, thank you to your administration. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
To get you. I hope you're going to say what I'm going to say.
I know one line is coming. I saw the head shaking. I go, uh-oh, another one line is coming. Through you to Manager Golden. Manager Golden, while we're doing the project over there, we're doing Colley Stadium parking lot. Are we looking at fencing Colley Stadium's parking lot to try to keep people out of there and flying through for traffic reasons and then hanging out overnight down there and stuff like that? Because that rendition, I haven't seen the final rendition of the parking lot.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, we can give you the final rendition. I'm pretty sure, as I've seen it, there are plenty of islands in there that are going to stop anybody from doing the cut across. And that's, matter of fact, we were having a discussion about what we were going to put in the middle of the islands to make sure that it's something that's we can fix, we can maintain, et cetera. So that's something that, if I can ask Assistant City Manager Rose to take a look at, and we'll get it out to the council just so you can see it. But it's currently, well, actually, since we started digging, there's no way to cut it directly across right now, but I think everybody's very familiar with how it's always been. The appropriate entranceways, et cetera, that is something that I know Mr. Fox and I know Mr. St. Cyr has been looking at to make sure that it's more orderly as opposed to what it has been, this huge parking lot. So that is happening, and I'll try to, if we can get that out to the council so they can take a peek at it.
One of the concerns is the security over there too, because they hang out all night, and at some point it would give longevity to the area if they weren't able to go in there on that lot all the time. So, is there a way that like a fencing piece or something could be added that would be decorative, but also kind of contain that lot so it's only used during the events you need and not used for donuts and, other things that happen over there when you were a kid and I was a kid, but it wasn't me driving, it was you. But the lots over there, again, it just comes down to how do we secure that area and try to keep it so it's actually preserved for longer time, and also kind of keep everything down over there because it does get kind of loud. Could you look into that and see if it's something that could be added?
Yeah, the current plans, Manager said there's a bunch of trees and little islands through it. I think the plan, the thought process was to take the fencing off the whole area altogether for walking trails and things like that. I think the term that was used was they don't want to make it look like a a jail yard or something like that. Is also, that was a preference, but it should be pretty easy to get to us because
I know there's a lot of money being spent over there, and I just would hate things to happen that we can probably prevent in the earliest stages of planning, that's all. Thank you.
Motion response D, install convex NARA, Butterfield, and Fletcher streets. Councilor Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank Commissioner St. Cyr for a quick response. I know the resident who live on Butterfield will be delighted to hear that one will be installed. Thank you again.
Motion response E, Merkland School paving. Councilor Gitcha.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. I thank you again for this piece being done. I think it's important. I'm hoping that the Housing Authority has in their capital plan funding to help us finish the whole project at once. It would be a lot cheaper because within it says how part of that parking lot is Lowell Housing Authorities. So, you know, if they have funding within, we can talk back and forth, and hopefully we can work together and get something done so it's all done at once. I'm hoping that through the mayor to the manager, something like that could be done, because it just makes sense to beautify everything at once if you're going to call a contractor in.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. We'll definitely be working with our partners at the Lowell Housing Authority.
I heard that before. We were partners and we were going to do, and I'm hoping that that partnership can make this happen. Thank you.
7.2 already been completed. The motion to accept the place on file by Council Belanger, seconded by Council Janess. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Section 8, orders for the city manager. We'll put that off for a couple of weeks. That coincides with the public hearing. Section 9, subcommittee. Next week, Chairman Chow.
Next week is fine.
Section 10, petitions. 2 property claims, property damage claims. Motion to refer to Law Department for report recommendation by Council Dakota, seconded by Council Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 10.2, Dara Boone requests installation of a handicap parking sign at 249 Princeton Boulevard. Motion to refer to transportation engineer for report recommendation by Council Dakota, seconded by Councilor Chow. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Any announcements? Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just my usual mention of the Professional Women's Hockey League. The last game of the regular season is at the Sonia Center is this Saturday at 1 o'clock. If you haven't gotten out to check out the team, it's a good opportunity to do so. I'll be there, so come say hi.
Motion to adjourn by Councilor Janess, seconded by Councilor Gitcha. Good evening.